Meta Connect happened this week, and for the first time in years, there was no VR headset unveiled. Mark Zuckerberg didn't talk about the new prototypes they demoed at SIGGRAPH, and Andrew Bosworth didn't talk about new features they're planning on bringing to upcoming devices. Just devices already in the lineup. All they really talked about was AI and smart glasses. Now, I do think the glasses are kind of cool. The new Oakleys look like they'll be great for me to wear on my motorcycle, and I'm at least interested in trying the new Meta Ray-Bans that have the screen in them, despite the fact that the live demos definitely didn't go as planned and clearly frustrated Mark.
I don't know what to tell you guys. All right.
But I think for a lot of us that are just watching for VR and XR hardware, we're all probably just a little disappointed. We knew that we probably weren't getting a Quest 4 because they canceled the prototypes for those months ago. And we know that Meta appears to be bottlenecked by Qualcomm's chip production schedule. Check out my video on that if you've not seen it yet. Instead, we got news that the current lineup of Meta Quests will now be able to scan our rooms into VR. There's a new entertainment app called Horizon TV, and Meta Horizon is getting a bit of an upgrade. So is it all over for VR gamers? Are the walls closing in on us as Meta slowly pivots towards wearables and AI? Are we ever getting another headset? Where were the new high-end prototypes at? And what happened to that Asus partner headset that was rumored to be announced this week? Well, let's talk about it. Hey guys, welcome back to Fix My Oculus, the channel dedicated to repairing, maintaining, and fixing VR hardware, where I do sometimes like to delve into the news to see what's coming next, or not coming at all, so that you and I can both be properly informed on the future of VR. Meta Connect was a bit of a bust for the VR community, and I'm gonna be real honest with you here. I found myself sitting there in my Quest 3 watching Mark regurgitate his scripted lines and contemplate firing people in real time, and I just couldn't help myself but think, man, is this it? Is this what it's coming to? And honestly, I think that that's a perfectly justified reaction. Because what we saw was not an accident. It was not that Meta forgot to show VR hardware this year. It was a signal and kind of a shot across the bow. More on that in a minute. Meta never really wanted to be a gaming company. At their core, Meta is an advertising and a data mining company. They don't really want to innovate or dominate in any particular landscape. They just want to connect people so that they can better target them with ads and create an ecosystem for people to exist in that never allows them to really move freely. The move to wearables and daily life integration of AI are both excellent moves to achieve these goals. And this kind of fits a pattern. Mark Zuckerberg has a long history of chasing shiny objects. Not in the too far distant past, Facebook tried to build a streaming service to compete with Netflix. They poured time and money into it, and then they quietly killed it off when it wasn't really working. One of my favorite YouTubers, Captain Midnight, has a great video on this, and I highly recommend you go watch it because it sheds a lot of light on how Meta works. Remember Libra, the cryptocurrency? Remember the huge push into VR concerts and Horizon Worlds being marketed as the next social platform in 2021? Meta jumps really hard into trends. They make a big splash, they like to show off, and then if it doesn't stick and they can't make money off of it, they pivot. VR has surprisingly survived this cycle for a while. But Connect 2025 might be the first time that their pivot away from VR is impossible to overlook. So let's take a minute and break down what they did show us. Room scanning, or the Hyperscape capture. This lets you scan your room and import it directly into VR. It's cool. Like, gamers and social apps will definitely use it, but it's not a headset, it's a feature. Horizon TV is number 2, which is basically a streaming hub for Quest, centralizes Prime, Disney+, ESPN, Hulu, and a bunch of other things. But again, this is Meta trying to turn their current lineup into more general purpose devices, not innovating for new headsets. And then we got some Horizon OS upgrades. New social hubs, a redesigned home, the ability to pin 2D apps for others to see, faster transitions from worlds. It all points to VR as a social layer, not VR as cutting-edge gaming. And then there's the smart glasses, which they spent a lot of time on. The new Oakley Vanguard line, the Ray-Ban glasses with the actual built-in displays, those got the majority of the spotlight. And honestly, these were the only things that really felt like new hardware. So the message here was VR headsets are not the star of the show anymore. AI and smart glasses are. So why the pivot? What is Meta thinking? Why are they abandoning the VR users? Why walk into a Connect event, one of the only stages that Meta has to show off VR, and not bring VR hardware? Well, the financial outlook on this is actually fairly straightforward. Reality Labs lost $4.5 billion in the second quarter of this year alone. Since 2020, they've bled out an estimated $60 billion in total. And what is growing? Well, Ray-Ban smart glasses. Those sales tripled year over year in the first half of 2025. If you're Meta, where do you put your chips? On the division losing $4 to $5 billion a quarter, or on the one that just tripled its revenue? That's not even that hard of a decision. And it ties back to kind of what I was saying earlier. Meta was never in this for gaming. They've always been in it for data and daily integration. VR headsets are expensive, they're niche, they're not great at producing long-tail engagement. Smart glasses, on the other hand, live on your face all day, theoretically. They see what you see, they hear what you hear, they integrate directly with AI that can answer your questions, show you directions, and even monitor your environment. For Meta, that's gold. That's everything that they've wanted: constant engagement, constant data, and constant ad potential. So what does this mean for VR? Where does this leave us exactly? Well, I don't think that the party is over yet. But the rumored Asus headset and their partnerships with Ray-Ban and Oakley seem like road signs, all pointing to Meta pulling out of the hardware production game. It seems like Reality Labs is really still interested in innovating. We can see that because of the SIGGRAPH prototypes and the screen built into the new Meta Ray-Bans. But new waves of headsets like the Quest 4, 5, 6, and 7, or Quest Pro 2, or whatever, I think that those look less and less likely every single day. Why? Because of us, honestly, because of the VR community. As far as I can tell, there's two main camps of VR gamers. Camp one are the real hardcore VR enthusiasts, and most of them wouldn't be caught dead with a Quest. They don't like the fact that it doesn't have a display port, or the tracking isn't good enough, or the resolution needs to be better, the speakers on the Valve Index are nicer. They feel like the Quest is basically a toy version of the VR headset that they really want. And they either obtain that vision through something like the big screen Pimax or Play for Dream headsets, or they stick with what they know, like their trusty HTC Vive or Valve Index headset. Camp 2 is the more casual group. They're in it for fun. They're in it for the apps and the games. They don't care about fidelity, they don't care about features, but they do care about the price. And they want them to be accessible and basically free because they feel like they've spent their hard-earned money, or someone else's, on a $300 to $500 headset, and they don't want to spend anymore. On top of that, if they're already integrated into a platform on something like the Quest 2, they really don't want to upgrade either. They like their headset, they like the games that they have, and there's nothing left for you to sell them. Between those two camps, we have kind of put Meta in a weird place where they are developing hardware for people that don't want it and won't buy it. My final thoughts on this, I do think that we're going to get more VR headsets for Meta. But I think that we'll see Meta squeeze every last ounce of juice from the hardware that's already out there before we do. With the Quest 2 launch in 2020 and slated to have updates ceased at the end of 2027, I think that the Quest 3 could easily see 7 or 8 years of life. Meaning that if we do get a Quest 4, it is potentially years away if they can successfully leverage their current user base into adopting it with features and pricing. In the meantime, they're going to see a much better return on their investment by loaning out their operating system and technical innovations to other companies the way that they have with Ray-Ban, Oakley, and allegedly Asus. They can get way more people roped into the ecosystem, get way more data on use cases, and spend way less money doing it. My hope really is that the Asus headset comes out and it's absolutely epic. To me, that feels like Meta's last little olive branch to the enthusiasts in VR. If it succeeds, then maybe we'll see more stuff like that, and potentially even bigger, better partners with wider distribution of the Meta Horizon OS. But if it's a letdown, even a little bit of a letdown, then Meta would be hard-pressed not to consider closing the book on VR altogether. So what do you guys think? Was MetaConnect 2025 the beginning of the end for VR at Meta, or just a pause before the next big leap? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I kind of want to hear where you guys land on this. Hit like if this breakdown helped you make sense of the event. It really does help us out. And if you're not subscribed yet, what are you doing? Go subscribe. Don't forget, we are still doing our gaming PC giveaway. If you guys want to enter into that, you can do that directly on the website, fixmyoculus.com, or in the link below. But anyway, that's really all I got for you guys today, so we'll see you on the next one.